And when you were talking about that, you said the magic word.
Yeah.
You said Gary V.
Yeah.
And I do want to talk about that because
Yeah.
like I said, I met with Josh last week and he was talking
Yeah.
about how you guys have really shifted your mindset.
Yeah.
And you used to be very much like go,
Yeah.
hustle 24/7.
Yeah.
So what was the shift where you guys kind of slowed that down?
Pneumonia. Like when I got pneumonia and didn't know it. Yeah. So that was like definitely my breaking point. Like I find overall, I'm like, my body's just probably not the most stable. Like I thought everybody, starts at the same spot, but I realized, especially dating someone like Josh, who's kind of like a Superman guy, like we do not have the same baseline, right? So when we do all this travel, like it would really hit my body harder. Like I wouldn't be able to go hit my squat workout after a road trip, whereas like we would drive to Toronto and then he would PR his squat. And I'm like, how can your body do that? Like, I don't even feel sore, but my body's like mad at me. So I was having a rough go. And then I went to the doctors for like something else, like literally like a prescription refill. And she was listening to my breathing and she was like, you like definitely have pneumonia. And I was like, oh, like that kind of makes sense. I was starting to add up like how horrible the last few weeks had been. Like the week before we were in Nova Scotia training at Acadia and I like had a full breakdown because it was like everything just hurt so much and I was so tired of it. She's like, yeah, no, you definitely have pneumonia. Like we'll do a chest x-ray, but I already know. And like that was a really big awakening for me because I was just like literally so broken down and so focused on hustling that like I really wasn't listening. Like there's a movement quote. It's something like, if you don't listen to your body when it whispers, then you'll have to listen to it when it screams or something like that. And yeah, I was literally just like muting everything my body was saying and pushing through. And it made me realize like it didn't feel good. And it got to a point where like, I remember that was like in the fall and then Christmas, like actually my hair was falling out. Like I was like really, really bad. Like I would, go to the gym and like lean on a machine and then have like a red mark on me for like 2 days because like my body was just reacting to everything. And I had basically pushed my body into like permanent fight or flight. So it just wasn't calming down. And so what would happen is when we would come home and have like some peace, my body would freak out because it had been like holding out so long for me. And that was really the breaking point because I almost felt like I lost my personality. Like I was just like, I just feel like grumpy all the time. Like I'm annoyed with everyone. I'm like tired. Like I'm so exhausted trying to do work. I'm just like staring at my screen. And it was really hard because when you are an entrepreneur, right, you're so passionate. Like you can work for 12 hours because you're so obsessed with it. And I would just sit there and be like, I don't want to do anything. And so it really fucked with me because like I was just like, am I a different person? And then it like took a doctor to be like, no, this is actually just like your health is really bad. So that really kind of flipped things for us. And I spent like literally a year and a half, like fixing my health. And now I'm like really passionate about making sure that like other people don't do that because I just like would never wish it upon anyone. Yeah.
It's like, what are some things then that you talk to people about when you're like wishing that they don't experience it as well? What are some things you tell them to like be aware of or to look out for or not to do?
Definitely having like what I call your non-negotiables. So like, if that's your workout or if it's yoga or if it's reading or if it's like, for some people it is like going to the bar on a Friday, right? Like if that's what you need to reset and recharge, then like don't take it away from yourself, right? Because that's what we do. We take away things like sleep. Like I always recommend like if people are having a hard time justifying sleep, Arianna Huffington wrote a book called The Sleep Revolution. That has been like the best thing in the back of my head that reminds me to go to bed early every night because like she just talks from a scientific perspective about how you're actually not doing yourself any good by like cutting those hours. So sleep is one thing, but yeah, having those non-negotiables. If it's going out and getting hammered with your friends every weekend, then like do it. Don't like justify not doing it. If it's seeing your family, if it's going to the gym, like even though you have, it's the classic, right? Like, oh, if I go to the gym or I could work on this for another 2 hours and be done. It's like, no, go to the gym because you need those things. You need to have like your baseline to keep you sane. Yeah.
No, so even though like you've scaled back a little bit, like go all the time, you're still productive. So talk to me about like, from you from a personal perspective, always wanting to be doing something or accomplishing things. Like I heard you talk about one time, I think it was, you were like on the treadmill or something at the gym and you had 4 minutes left and you were trying to like motion to Josh, like I have 4 minutes left. Like, let's get out of here. It's like, how did like you handle like that always wanting to be busy or doing something now?
part of it is just self-awareness. Like that moment, I'm like, hey, I don't actually need to tell him like he's going to be done or he's not. And I'm going to like do something like stretching that I should probably do. So it's not the end of the world. So I definitely think just like being aware of what your thing is really important. I was going to say something. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, maybe I lost it. Yeah, just honestly, like self-awareness has been really big. Something I always like to keep in mind too is like, we think of energy as something like we have or we don't have. Like we'll be like, oh, I just don't have energy today. And instead thinking of it as a resource that you like, you give yourself energy. You do things that give you energy. Like literally think of a video game. Like when you hit the thing, like you jump up Super Mario and then you like get an extra life. Like that's actually how we work with energy. Like, and I feel like I always like accepted things. Like I'd be like, oh, I just like don't have energy in the evenings. It's like, that's actually not true. You can do something that will give you energy in the evenings, right? So understanding that energy, it plays into the sleep thing too. Like you actually probably when you say you don't have energy, it's because you're doing something that's actively like taking away your energy. So that's really helped me because sometimes I'll be like working on a really big project and it's hard to be like, hey, you should go outside and just meditate for 10 minutes because that just seems not productive. But it's seeing those little things that's also productive. That's what I was going to say. So like you see like working on your computer as productive, you have to start seeing the other things as productive. So if I say like at lunch, I'm going to sit outside and meditate or even like watch Netflix for 10 minutes, you have to see that as productive because it's actually going to be what fuels your afternoon, right? Because that's what's going to give you the energy to like level up for the afternoon. Because if you just keep working, your productivity is just going down and down. So it's like people think they have to justify having a workout in the middle of the day. It's like, no, see it as just as productive because it's going to make your afternoon productive. So it's just really like taking those things as equal importance and not like a luxury. Because we're like, a lot of people will be like, oh, I don't have time to read. It's like, well, that's not really true. Yeah. You know, maybe you don't care to read. That's fine. But if you want to read every morning, you can fully do that. Josh has started reading every morning. Before we dated, I don't think he ever read a book. Like, not that he's stupid or anything. It was just like, that he just pictured books as the books you would read in school and he wasn't into it. And then I showed him like, hey, there's, you know, like books by the guy who made Nike. Like that's kind of cool. And now like every morning he's down and he has his tea and he reads and he's made that a priority, right? And that's just as important to him as answering his real estate emails because it's what's going to set him in the right mood for the day.